The Travel Transformation Podcast is proud to be partnered with Give the Goodness Global, an amazing global outreach project helping families in need all over Southeast Asia and beyond. Please check them out at Instagram.com/Give the Goodness Global today. And now on to the podcast episode.
Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, where we talk all things travel and all things transformation, exploring the life-changing potential of solo travel, intentional travel, and location-independent working. Whether you're an aspiring digital nomad or simply wish to boost your confidence through epic travel experiences, I'm here to motivate and inspire you to go after all your wildest dreams. I'm Jessica Grace Coleman, author, certified travel coach, founder of the Travel Transformation Company, and your host for the Travel Transformation Podcast. Travel changed my life. Now let's change yours. You ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, where we talk all things travel and all things transformation. My name is Jessica Grace Coleman and I'm your host. And today I'm talking to Lindsey Nellessen, founder of Your Money BFF. Before we get onto the interview, I just want to remind you that I have a new Facebook group for anyone who's into travel and transformation. It's called the Travel Transformation Lounge, Your Journey to a More Adventurous Life. And you can either search for that or head to facebook.com/groups/the Travel Transformation Lounge. I'll put the links in the show notes as well. I'll be talking all things travel and all things transformation in that group, as well as going live, doing mini challenges, giving discounts for my online courses and programs, and all kinds of fun stuff. Again, that's the Travel Transformation Lounge, Your Journey to a More Adventurous Life, at facebook.com/groups/the Travel Transformation Lounge. Okay, so on to today's guest. Lindsey is a money coach who, through her coaching, workshops, course, and website, Your Money BFF, helps young professionals become more financially secure and grow their money through investing. In this episode, we discuss how to get started with investing if you have no clue where to begin, money blocks and money mindset, and how our money stories from childhood can still affect us today, how to prioritise what you want to spend money on, how to balance saving, investing, and spending money on things like travel, and much, much more. So let's get straight to the interview. Hi, Lindsey. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Jessica. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, we've had our sort of heat wave here the last week, and now today it's rainy and miserable, so it's back to British weather. So it's, yeah.
I was going to say, I hear that sunshine is not common over there.
Yeah. We've had a really great week, actually, been really lucky, but now we're sort of definitely going into autumn. But autumn's my favorite time of year, so it's fine. So to start with, could you give me and our listeners a bit of background info about you, where you're from, where you live, and a little bit about your story so far?
Yeah, sure. I'm Lindsey, also known as Your Money BFF. I'm a money coach. I am born and raised and still live in Southern California in the US. And as a money coach, my job is really to help people to learn all the money stuff that we should have learned when we were in school. I know you have listeners from all over the world, but here in the US, we don't really have a lot of financial literacy education in school. People really just learn it from their parents, and sometimes the parents don't even know what to do. So it can be hard for people to kind of know how to manage their money. And for things like in the US, like what's a 401k? Because a lot of people get offered it when they go to their job. Like, what is that? How does it work? So I really help people with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you say that you don't really do it in schools in the US, but we don't really do it over here either. Like, at least when I was at school, I don't remember ever being taught anything about money, about finances, about investing. None of it. You know, we get taught life skills, sort of cooking, sewing, computers. Like, that's about it. Like, there's nothing around this, which I find absolutely insane. It's like, surely like one of the main things you should be learning. But anyway, so you mentioned your website, Your Money BFF. So can you tell me more about this? Sort of what is it? Who is it for? Why did you start it in the first place?
Yeah, so I really help 20 and 30 somethings learn how to grow their money through investing so that they can feel more financially secure. And the reason that I started with this, it's kind of a long story, so bear with me. But when I graduated from college in 2016, I remember getting my first job and I really wanted to make $100K a year, but my salary was like $42,000 a year. So I was like, oh man, it's going to take me forever to hit 100K. How am I going to make it? And so I started researching all this stuff like side hustles and investing. And I remember buying this investing or getting this investing book from the library. And I literally got through the first page and I was like, this is so freaking boring and I can't understand it. Like, how am I supposed to do this? And so I spent years like starting side hustles and then promptly ending them because they were just making me negative money. And then I started getting into investing and really just learning how to actually put my money into something that would grow really passively. So I literally just had to put money in it and it just grew without me doing anything. And I was like, whoa, this is pretty cool. And then my friends started asking me questions about it. And, I would just have casual conversations and things. People would ask me a lot of questions about like budgeting and debt payoff as well, credit cards, things like that, because they knew I was just good with all that stuff. Then in 2020, like many other people, I got laid off from my job. And I was like, you know what? I've been wanting to start a business. Like, I think this is time. And I decided that money coaching was going to be my thing. Been doing it ever since then.
Amazing. And have you always been interested in things like finances and investing, or is it literally when you started that job and you were like, oh man, I need to make more money? Were you interested in it as a kid?
My parents are really financially literate, so I've been very fortunate there. I remember like I have this core memory of my mom telling me this all the time, like always pay off your credit card on time and in full every single month. Like when I got to college, I didn't even know that it was an option not to do that. And then I heard people, saying to each other in college, like, oh, yeah, you shouldn't pay off your credit card all the way because then your credit score will go down. And I was like cringing inside. And I feel like I've always been kind of a natural saver, but definitely not all my clients are like that. So I've always like had a knack for it, but I think I started getting more interested in it once I kind of started making my own money as a full-time employed person. So yeah, probably about 7, 8 years ago now.
I know a lot of people struggle with striking a balance between wanting to save for the future and investing and doing all the responsible money things and wanting to have fun in the moment and do things like going traveling while they're still young. What advice would you give to someone who's trying to balance all this and they don't know what they should be doing?
Yeah, so there's really some cut and dry steps that you should follow, but I like to tell everybody it's going to be different for you to strike a balance between those things. It's really just based on what is important to you. So, for example, whenever I work with a new client, I have them talk about their priorities and their values in life. So, you might have somebody who has maybe not so much money saved up. Maybe we find out they're working together that they're spending more than they're making on average every month. So they're dipping into their savings. They're going to run out pretty soon. So, really, what I have to ask them is, hey, what's more important to you? Is, having security and being able to have a roof over your head and food on the table more important to you than traveling, for example? Most of the time, the answer is yes. So, for somebody like that, just kind of getting their priorities in line and then helping them to face the priorities that they have now, but then hopefully save up for something like travel in the future. But again, it's like what's more important to you or how important to you is traveling versus having financial security for the future. Like some people want to retire early. So if you invest more upfront, then you'll be able to retire earlier and then maybe travel at that point. So it really depends on that person's situation. But my best advice would be to figure out what's important to you and then kind of do your numbers from there. Track your spending every month, figure out how much you're spending and making every month, and if you're saving enough, and then going from there.
Yeah. So, what would you say to someone who maybe struggles with like feelings of guilt around spending money on something that's like air quotes frivolous, like traveling, even if they have all the stuff you've just said, they have the financial stability, they've sorted all that out. They want to start spending things on themselves, but maybe they don't feel like they should, or, they feel like they should still keep being sensible with money. What would you say to someone like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, it comes down to values. So I would recommend doing a values inventory of just writing down the things that are important to you. I give my clients a list to choose from, but you can also Google it if you want to. So you can rank order things like spending time with friends and family, traveling, saving for the future, having money for emergencies now, things like that. then ranking those in order. So maybe when you are setting money aside every month for something, it doesn't all have to go to saving for retirement, for example. That could be a really long way off for some people. So you could say, oh, I'll put 60% of it towards the future of whatever my savings are. And then I want to save 40% of that for traveling during a certain period of time. And something that really helps a lot of my clients feel less guilty about spending on things like travel is having a specific savings account for that specific place that they want to travel to. So let's say that they want to travel to Greece, for example, then putting together like a separate savings account saying Greece fund, and then every month just putting a little bit towards that. And then once you hit it, you're like, oh my gosh, I have enough money to travel to Greece, but I also hit all of my other financial goals.
That's a great tip. Completely separate account for like one specific trip. So if someone's listening to this and they're a complete newbie to investing, like they've never invested in anything financial in their life, how do you even get started? Because it can seem like such an overwhelming topic for some people. Like you say, a lot of the stuff out there is very boring or very complicated to get into. So how would you advise them to start?
Yeah. So you can start by I have a workshop on how to get started with investing without taking a million years to do it. So you can go on my website. There's a workshop that you can sign up for and watch for free. I'd say do that first. And then if you want to do an extra added step, I would actually say before getting started with investing is to do an inventory of what your personal numbers are. So I also have a spending tracker on my website. It's also free to download. So you can download the spending tracker and fill out the tab that has all of your expenses for the month, and then fill out the tab that has your income for the month. And what it'll do is it'll calculate how much you're saving every month. If you're saving money, then maybe it's time to get started with investing. If you're not saving money that month, that's the first thing that you need to start with before investing. It's actually going to be counterproductive to invest if you're spending more than you're making. So definitely working on that piece first, that cash flow, income versus expenses situation.
And you mentioned your workshops there, and I believe you offer a few different services like coaching and you have a course. Can you tell me about those, like the different kinds of services you offer?
Yeah. So I do one-on-one coaching for really any kind of financial stuff that you need help with. Again, I'm a coach. I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not going to like manage your money for you or anything or tell you exactly what to invest in, but I can kind of help you with the behavioral aspects of what to do with your money, how to do it, what everything is, all of that. So the course is kind of like a do-it-yourself version that is less money intensive than one-on-one coaching. So what it does is it takes you through step by step what you need to do to get your money growing. So it starts with the values and priorities. What's your income? How much are you spending? Savings, how to save, putting together an emergency fund, and then getting into investing, saving for retirement. So it teaches you everything you need to know, and it walks you through step by step what you need to do to get to pretty much any financial goal you have, whether that's investing, whether that's traveling or something else.
Do you want to learn all about the 5 travel transformation principles, including how to conquer your fears through travel? Then you need to grab a copy of my Travel Transformation Guide, written by me, Jessica Grace Coleman, as part of my Flip the Script Academy. It's totally free. All I ask for in exchange is your email address so I can keep you updated on all things travel and transformation. Just head to traveltransformationcoach.com/free guide to get your guide today. And now, let's get back to the Travel Transformation Podcast. Great. And yeah, we'll put all the links to these in the show notes as well, so people can head straight on over. Do you have any, like apart from your own website, obviously, do you have any tools or websites you would recommend for people who want to get more into investing, who want to start looking after their money more, but are just starting out?
Yeah, absolutely. My personal finance books, and I've read like several dozen personal finance books, is called I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. It is my favorite finance book because it is so actionable. And if you just follow all the advice in there, then you will be golden and you will make it. And then I also have a list of different resources on my website as well. I think it's under the freebies tab. And I have different resources like what I use to make some money here and there on the side, like how to open up for my US people, how to open up a high yield savings account. I have the link to the one I use there. I also have links to things like Mercari where you can sell your old stuff. and also buy stuff for a lot cheaper. So lots and lots of different resources there.
Great. We'll put the link to that as well, because I think that'll be very helpful to people too. And you mentioned this a bit before when you were talking about how your parents would say about your credit card and, to pay it all off, and you grew up with that in your mind. So I wanted to ask about that, because these days we hear a lot of things in online space about money blocks and money mindset and that kind of stuff, and having to work through these blocks before you can give yourself permission to earn a lot of money or to start investing or to believe you're capable enough with money to do something like start investing. We can trace a lot of these money blocks and stories back to what we learned as children, like you say, when we're growing up, like sayings like money doesn't grow on trees, another day, another dollar. And you did kind of allude to this with the credit card stuff. How do you feel about this? Do you think that we take a lot of the things we've learned about money in childhood into our adult views on money? And did you have any more money stories or money blocks yourself when you were growing up that you had to sort of work through before you got into this work?
Oh, great question, Jessica. The answer to your question is yes. I think that your money stories really affect how you manage your money in adulthood. And it is unfortunate that we tend to repeat the patterns that we see in our childhood a lot of the time. But the good news is that it's totally reversible. And working with somebody like a therapist or a money coach, or there's even money therapists that are out there, can really help you kind of identify and get around those, because often they are really hard to identify yourself. Some of the money blocks that I often see with my clients are this idea that, like, I'd rather be happy than rich, or like rich people are evil. And I think that that really is a cultural thing. I don't know about worldwide, but certainly in the Western world, everybody hates rich people. But at the same time, everybody wants to be rich. So there's kind of this, like, secretly, and it's kind of this weird dichotomy that I feel like in order to really be okay with starting to see your bank account grow to significant levels, you have to really start to let go of that a little bit. I mean, no doubt I was influenced by those kind of cultural things growing up. And it is something that I had to start kind of letting go of, like the whole rich people are evil thing or whatever. But I also think that something that was really important, that also a core memory that my parents taught me, was I remember when I was a kid and I was on the lake and I saw like a really nice houseboat, like those ones that like people go on vacations on and stuff. And I was like, whoa, those people must be rich to have a boat like that. And my mom's like, or in heavy debt. And now looking back, I'm like, dang, that's like really savage to say and kind of judgmental. But at the same time, like, because she explained to me, like, yeah, just because somebody has something nice doesn't mean that they are rich. It just means that they spent money on it. And so that is something that really stuck with me, because I feel like it helps a lot with comparison. Like, we see our friends, traveling to all these nice places when we're on social media or whatever. And we're like, how do other people afford that? Like, I still reconsider getting guacamole at Chipotle, which I totally do. But yeah, all of those things are definitely something that you should consider before even getting started with investing, because it will affect you whether you know it or not.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, especially the whole sort of rich people are evil thing. Like, how many movies do you see where the villain is this rich person in the mansion, all the cars, the fur coats, whatever, and we grow up seeing that. And I think that can definitely subconsciously affect you if you're sort of earning a certain level and you sort of have the opportunity maybe to go for a promotion or something where you would earn more, but maybe you self-sabotage because you think, I don't want to be an evil rich person. I don't want people to see me as being an evil rich person. And I think that's definitely something that stops a lot of people, and a lot of women in particular, I think, definitely. So it's, very important to go over that before you get into this. And like you say, money therapists, that sounds like a great thing. I didn't know that was a thing. That sounds like a really useful thing. So yeah, look up that if you're at all interested in any of this stuff. So this is a bit of a tangent, but I love the about section on your website where you mention some of your favorite things and some facts about yourself. For instance, your Hogwarts house.
Oh, yes. Very important.
And one of them was that you swam competitively for 7 years, which got me really intrigued. So can you tell me more about this?
Yeah, wait, they have competitive swimmers in the UK, right?
Yeah, but it seems like a very hard thing to get into, to go from that to finance. And I just
okay. By competitive swimming, I meant like I was on a swim team
okay.
in like grade school and middle school and high school. I still swim quite a lot, and I like competed against other people, but I wasn't like in the Olympics. It wasn't like Michael Phelps. I just like to swim.
No, that's cool. I think we probably do have like that kind of competitive swimming in schools and stuff, but it's not like a huge thing over here. So I just found that really interesting. That's amazing.
That is so funny. It's a big thing in California because, you know, the weather is so nice. Like most high schools have outdoor pools. Yeah, that was very common around here.
That makes more sense in comparison to the weather we get. Definitely. Okay, so I asked you what your favorite place in the world was, and you said La Fortuna, Costa Rica. So can you tell me why this place is so special to you?
Oh my gosh, I loved it there. I loved the food in Costa Rica. Have you been before?
I haven't, no, it's on my list.
Highly recommend. I loved the food because it was like healthy, fresh, but had really unique flavors. It was a little bit like other Latin American food, but of course had its own Costa Rican spin. So loved the food. I loved the environment. I loved that pretty much everything was surrounded by rainforest. So we went whitewater rafting like through the rainforest, which was amazing. And it's pretty affordable. So there are a couple hotels that are on the main road in La Fortuna that have several different hot springs. So it's kind of like a spa and a hotel at the same time, but it's pretty affordable. I think we paid like $150 a night for like 7 different pools, and there was a slide. So yeah, highly recommend. The slide was really fun.
That's amazing. No, and I'm glad you said that, you know, you found some affordable places, because I think a lot of the time for me, what puts me off is the thought that I'm going to have to spend an absolute fortune when I'm there. So that's good to know. Okay, so I have 2 last quick questions. And like I said, I'm going to put these links in the show notes. But first of all, where can people find and follow you online? And is there anything else you want to mention or any last message you want to get across before we go?
Yeah, sure. So best place to reach me is on my website. There's a form that you can fill out, or you can email me at hello@lindseycassell.com. The form will go there as well. I don't release social media anymore for mental health reasons, but that's where you can reach me. And I still do coaching actively and have my course. And I would say that any last thoughts would be, don't be so hard on yourself when it comes to money. But at the same time, if this is something that you've been avoiding facing, like you really need to, not to harp on you, but once you face this problem and you start to work through it, the great thing about money is that it's really quantifiable. So instead of just feeling generally anxious about your money, you're actually going to start to see problems that you can solve. So I just want to encourage you there that it's not going to be as scary as it may feel right now.
Yeah, that is such a good way of putting it, because so many people, they're literally too scared to look at their bank account, or, you know, like they really terrifies them, which is understandable if you're in a certain position. But yeah, just getting on top of it, just going for it. It's never as scary as you think. And yeah, just start with something simple like one of your freebies to get into the whole area. And yeah, that's great advice. So thank you. And thank you so much for coming on today. It's been really great talking to you.
Great talking with you too, Jessica. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Travel Transformation Podcast with me, Jessica Grace Coleman. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could please subscribe, rate and review, and spread the word, because it's my mission to help as many people as possible to flip the script on their lives and transform through travel. And remember, life is short, so let's make sure it's nothing short of amazing. Until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.